Yo, man. Boom. It's Rusty. I need to figure that out. I really got to pull the microphone away from that one because I clip out every time I do that lately. I've been getting too into it, I think. But it is Wednesday, April, April something, April 5th, April 4th, probably somewhere in there. I know that it's a Wednesday because I know I have a special guest on, and that's how I know what day of the week it is. What day of the month it is, I don't know, but I'm gonna bring on right here, right now, Lisa Hopkins. How you doing?
Hello, Mr. Rusty. I'm doing very good. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. The sun is shining, and I'm feeling real blessed on today.
Wonderful. Wow, you're in Southern California. Not a bad
Yes.
deal. Are you from Southern California? You've been there?
Yes, I am. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and now I reside in the city of Victorville, which is way up a hill.
How do you like being up the hill as opposed to being in the city?
Well, being in Victorville, it's a lot slower. I originally came here because I had 4 children, and South Central LA is not the place to raise children. So I came up here with the intentions on being able to keep my children safe.
And so how long ago was that then?
I've been up here for 24 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
24 years.
Wow. And you have kids that are older than 24 then?
I do. I have,
Wow.
my youngest is actually 28.
Whoa.
And I have a 29-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 32-year-old.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Never would have guessed that, but yeah. Okay. So then, so one day, I mean, was this like a gradual process then of I wanna move and you go, or is it just one day you're just like, I need to get out of here, it's time to go?
Yes, it was a spur of the moment thing because in the news and in the area where I was living at, there was a young man. He and another young lady were using what you would call water. It's called sherm. Actually, it's sherm. And they were in the house together, and then all of a sudden, he's running down the street with her heart literally in his hand. And it's one of the most gruesomest murders that they had in LA County. If you look in our news, back in the early 90s, you will find it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that day, my children were locked into school. Everything was on lockdown. The kids couldn't come out to schools. I couldn't get to my children. And that was the last straw for me. I had to go. I'll find that article and I'll share it with you later on.
Please do.
Yes, I will.
So did you know this couple beforehand, or were they?
Well, actually, I knew the young man. He was from the local gang, and the young lady, actually, I had gone to church with her probably 3 months before the incident, and she showed me her journal, and at the end of her journal, the last words that she said was, I want more of God, more of God, more of God. And then tragically, that's how she lost her life.
Whoa.
Yes, her name was Pocahontas.
Okay.
Pocahontas.
So what was, I mean, did you see Pocahontas before this then? I mean, if she's showing you her diary, it's probably pretty,
we were,
close to you.
We were riding in the car together, she and I in the back seat. Another couple was driving, and she was showing me that on the way to church. Yes.
Wow. And so was the rest of the journal was stuff about what was going on? Was there any hints to what was going to happen, or is it just
her journal? Her journal was basically about things that her and her family did.
Okay.
She was making memories of family.
And then, so I mean, was this I don't know. I don't know how, like, would this have been the first time that this guy had tried,
I'm not sure.
tried
I'm
charm,
not
or,
sure.
and just
I'm
is,
definitely not sure. I'm
what,
definitely not sure about that
what
because
happened to him? Oh,
I
sorry.
didn't know him personally. He's behind bars now. I believe he got life. I'm not really sure what his charges was, but for him to do something as horrific as that, I'm sure he got a high sentence.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I mean, yeah, with that being all over the news too, that, that's,
Yes.
makes it definitely more difficult to be around, and, having to see that, and yeah, like, it's like, oh yeah, that's,
Absolutely. And it is just so
whew.
unfortunate. So unfortunate.
And so then, I mean, how did what was the rest of the community like after that? I mean, were you
Well,
just completely gone? Did you cut ties with everybody in the
I cut
community?
ties with everybody. Me and my children were actually living in my dad's house.
Okay.
So we left the house. We never looked back. I mean, we did go to visit my dad, but we didn't make our home there anymore.
So did he keep on living there in that spot then?
Yes, actually, my dad is deceased now, but his wife, which is my stepmother, she still lives there.
Oh,
Same
okay.
place. And it happened, we lived on 107th Street on the corner, on the opposite corner of the house where the incident took place. The incident took place on 108th on the corner, but we lived on 107th on the opposite corner.
Okay, so yeah.
Yes.
So then, I mean, so what was, I don't know, like, how does, like, in the last, it's been 30 years now, which
30
is
years, many
crazy.
years. Yes.
So I mean, was this like in relation to what was going on in Watson with Rodney King? Was that like the same year or
As a
same?
matter of fact, it was around the same era. It might be a year or two different.
Uh-huh.
A year or two different, but that was around the time when the Rodney King incident took place.
And
yes.
So you were around for that as well? Or were you gone by then?
Actually, no, I was there. I was at my dad's, and my uncle and I were sitting watching the news, and he said, "I'm finna get out of here." And I said, "What do you mean? What are you doing?" He said, "I'm finna go rob some stuff." And I was like, "Oh, well, you go ahead. I'm not doing that. I don't indulge like that." So he wound up robbing a meat market, and he bought about 8 or 9 slabs of ribs home. So that wasn't a good thing, but that was something that was going on. Everybody was looting all over the place. Yeah.
And so then, I mean, what's, early 1990s to, let's say 1993, to make it the 30 years round. I mean, what's the difference between that exact spot then and right now?
Well, now it's the name of the street is called Figueroa, and they have a lot of drug addicts, a lot of prostitution going on there. And it seems as though the gang activity is not as bad as it was then, but I'm really not familiar with everything that goes on in that area because I don't hardly go there.
Yeah, that's understandable, 100% with that. And,
yes.
And so, okay, so then you end up moving, and so, I mean, are you I mean, like, what did you do with your life differently? I mean, what was the first thing you did? Did you have to like start, um,
Well,
getting everything in
yeah,
set?
the actual first thing that I did, I can recall going to a grocery store and meeting up with a young lady. She had oxygen, and she was trying to get a watermelon out of a bent. She had to bend over and reach to pick up the watermelon, and I offered to help her. And after I helped her, I asked her, was she affiliated with any of the local churches? So the first thing that I did was got involved with this church, and I've been there ever since.
Oh,
Actually, I'm leaving that church and going to another church this Resurrection Sunday. So I spent 20 some years there, and now I'm going to move on to another church.
so okay, so then with that, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you were there 20 some years, I mean, so what was her reaction when asked her, about the church? And so did she say, come with me
She
on
said,
Sunday and
I'll give
meet
you
me
my
there?
phone number and you give me yours, and I'll call you on Saturday night. If you're interested in going to church, I'll give you the address and you can meet me there, or I can pick you up. When I got there, I had to go to new members class. Then I joined the choir.
Oh,
And yeah, so that's pretty much.
so are you still singing as well then?
I do. My program, Sunday Songs and Shares, is actually that type of platform where people can come on and join and sing, or they can share their poems or whatever they want to share with the listening audience. And it lasts for 1 hour, so it's a pretty good platform.
So is this something in the lines of a Zoom call, and you just get a whole bunch of people come, or whatever it may be, some sort
No,
of streaming thing, and everyone comes in and starts singing together?
no,
Or
this is how it goes. It comes on, it's on Facebook Live, my
oh,
regular Facebook page, and I do a little advertisement that there will be Sunday Songs and Shares. And then when it starts, I start off singing a song, just a little bit of a song, to give people an opportunity to come on. And then when they come on, many times somebody will request to join the live video. They hit the button, I see they want to come on. Then when they come, they're able to speak, they're able to sing, share whatever they want to share. And then it just goes on to the next person. If nobody comes at all,
yeah.
I do the whole show myself.
What happens
And
then?
I sing and I promote Jesus Christ. I don't know if you're a Christian
Cool.
or what.
I'm open to whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever is cool by me.
Okay,
Um,
so yeah, that's what it is.
so okay, so if you have okay, let's say you're getting to like 58, 59 minutes into the show. Do you cut off right at an hour, or do you let it go? Does sometimes it go like an hour and a half, or
Well,
does it?
actually, it has never gone an hour and a half. If in the event that I ever have people that are still in line to share, I would give them their opportunity before I end the show.
Okay.
So, yes. So it
So
has.
oh, go ahead.
It hasn't gone longer than an hour and 10 minutes. And I want to say yet.
How long are you wanting to get the show going for?
No more than 2 hours.
Yeah,
No more than 2 hours.
I feel 2 hours is about the right time for people's attention spans when you're doing live shows.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I found. Anything more than I've been on shows that are, 4.5 hours, and people,
Yeah.
are gone. They're just not, they're checked out of whatever's going on with it.
Yes.
But yeah, 2 hours is a great number to shoot for. And so has the woman that you met that first day that you moved, has she been on the show with you?
No. And she will not be on the show with me, because now we have mitigating circumstances. She kind of played a game on me and got me caught up in some things that I was really not supposed to be caught up in. So she was also the minister of music at that particular church. And one day I went to her house to rehearse, and she started being gay. So I had major issues with that, not because of the lifestyle, but because of the fact that I had told her a lot about my other reasons for leaving Los Angeles, and she used it against me to the degree of sucking me back into the lifestyle that I was dealing with. So when I left LA, I was in an abusive relationship with a man. And then she wanted to have a relationship with me.
When you met her?
And when I met her, and she turned out to be abusive. So that's been an issue.
With you or with somebody else?
With me.
With you. And so
yes.
Was that, I mean, do you know about, not did you know about, because you were in the other relationship. So, but I mean, was it a while before she got that way? Was she playing it up real nice, and then all of a sudden it came on sometime, and something sort of snapped on her? And
it was, first she wanted to go out to lunch. At lunch is when I spilled all my guts to her. And then the next time was about lesbian relationships and being in the abusive relationship with the guy. And then how I had wanted to leave LA, not only because of the drug infested area and the gangs, but because I was having this relationship with somebody that was abusive. And then when she got close enough to me, she started doing abusive stuff too.
And you had told her that you had come from this relationship beforehand that was abusive?
Yes, and I needed to be able to get into a church somewhere where I can start hearing the Bible and overcoming some of those things. And then about a month and a half later, she tells me that, I need to tell you something. Can you come out to dinner with me? So I go out to dinner, and she tells me that she had been lesbian, but she was dormant for 12 years, and she wanted to lay with me. And I went for it, and it came out ridiculous. It is just a terrible situation. And she said, if it ever comes out in the church, I'm going to deny it. And it did come out in the church. There was a big church scandal, and she denied it.
What about you?
I don't deal with her.
Were you saying that, was she just kind of throwing you under the bus then? Were you saying basically, that, there is a relationship going on, and she's saying no?
Yes, my pastor actually called me and asked me, why was I lying on her? And I told him, Pastor, I don't have a reason to lie at all, because I come from the streets. I'm straight out of LA. I have no reason to lie. I've lived on the streets. I've done street stuff, and I don't have a reason to lie. The person that you chose to be your minister of music, she's the one that's telling the untruth. But instead of my pastor pulling both of us in the office and talking to both of us, he called everybody that was in the choir. So that's like 13, 14 people, of which some of them didn't know what was going on. And then after he called them all to find out who knew about it, then the rest of the people that didn't know, they knew. So that made it a whole church complete scandal. And it was very uncomfortable still staying there after that, but I did. Actually, I wrote a book about it.
Oh,
So yeah,
what?
I'm an author. The name of my book is Triggered Reactions Conquered. And
Okay.
and it talks about the many things that I've had to overcome to get to be the woman that I am now. So the actual story and everything that took place with this woman and I is in the book.
So did you name her in
Yes,
that,
I
or
did.
you named her
Yes,
with
I did.
her real name, everything?
No. Her name, I'm just gonna say her last name is Franklin. Her last name is Franklin, and the chapter in the book is called Frankie. So if anybody buys my book and they know
Which
the
you
story,
should.
yeah, if anybody buys the book and they go to that chapter and they see Frankie and they read it, if they know the story already, then they're going to know that's what I'm talking about. For those that don't know who Frankie is, it's an opportunity for people to know that there are people that say that they are for God and that are Christians, but they do stuff outside of what they're really supposed to be doing. So, and then also the abuse part of it, if anybody is reading the book and they see themselves in the book, they will know that there's an opportunity for a change, for a future of success.
What are you telling people in those who find themselves seeing themselves in the book? I mean, what are...
Well, actually, I've dealt with two people. One person was a drug addicted person, and it was a young man. He kind of had the hots for me, so I wooed him with my book. And then when he read it, I don't know if he's pretending like he wants to get the help, or is he pretending so he could get closer to me. But whatever the case may be, I do believe that the young man has been touched by the book, if he actually read it, because the lifestyle that he is living is the lifestyle that I was living. So hopefully it will help him for real. And then there was another, well, she's an older lady, but she goes to my church, and she walked up to me and she said, "Lisa, come here." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I'm mad at you." And I said, "Why?" She said, "That book." I said, "What about the book?" She said, "I can't put it down. I can't put it down. It's a really, really good book." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And then a week later, I saw her at the, just random, saw her at the hospital, and she was walking around with her notebook and her book in her hand. So I'm grateful that the book is able to help people, as well as to give a quote unquote sense of entertainment, because I told everything that I had gone through as it came. It's in chronological order, and it's also a very, very transparent way of telling my story. So I told everything without anything left out. Every act, everything I did, how it happened, everything. So in the book, there's child molestation, child abuse and neglect, infidelity in the worst kind of way, where I had a husband, but I had 5 children and none of them were his. And he still wanted to be in a relationship with me. And then there's some other stuff as well.
So, okay. So then, yeah. So that one, I mean, you guys have to get the book if you're going to want to know these, what was going on. And so, I mean, so were you seeing a pattern of what had been happening? And then that's when you kind of noticed that I should write a book, or what was it? Was it you one day where did something get you and you're like, you know what, people need to know this. People need to know that this happens to people. This is, you can be okay.
Yes, after I went through everything that I had gone through, I spent some time in prison. It was in 2007.
Okay.
When I got out, I did not want to go back to any of the lifestyle that I was doing. And I said, I need to get this on paper, because once I get all my issues on paper, I felt like I would have some sort of freedom. The thought was there, but it never manifested. I never started writing the book before last year. So before last year, I was still dipping and dabbing in some of the things. It actually took COVID to come and me almost dying for me to change my actual life.
Oh, you got it. You got it. And you got it. Were you in the hospital with that?
Actually, no. I went to the hospital, and they said that I needed to isolate for 14 days. I stayed in my room, and it was very difficult for me to get help because my mom was 78 at the time. She's 80 now. During that time, I could only have a chair by the door, and I would have to call my mother and tell her, bring soup, bring this, bring that. And it was taking a toll on her.
Sure.
So I was grateful that God allowed me to recover. But in this room where I'm at right now, I was having episodes of really, really not being able to breathe. And I was praying one night, and they had a recliner sitting by the window, and I was praying, and I fell out. Boom, hit my head on the back of the recliner, and I didn't wake up till the next morning.
And no one knew because you're isolated.
In the room by myself, right. So the next morning when I did wake up, the sun was shining so bright through my bedroom window. It was like a sun that I had never really acknowledged. I may have seen the sun that bright, but I never really acknowledged it because, hey, if it's sun, it's sun. If it's rain, it's rain. At this time, it wasn't like that. It was like, this sun right here is actually from Jesus Christ, because I know that I had passed out. I could, if I would have died right then and there, I wouldn't have known the difference. But because God allowed me to see that light, I heard in my something, I heard, or I thought I heard something say, come out from the darkness and into this marvelous light. And at that time, I knew that anything that I was doing that wasn't godly, it had to stop. I had already stopped using drugs, but I was still dipping and dabbing with women. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So that was an opportunity for me to just go ahead and do what God wants me to do. And I'm not going to say that being a lesbian is a bad thing because everybody is doing it, but I do believe that it's against the will of God because he wants us to do the way that he provided for us with Adam and Eve, and Jesus making woman from Adam's rib and them two as one. The Bible also says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So I believe that wholeheartedly, although I was dibbing and dabbling and messing with women. So I thank God for today.
And so do you think that, that you were, feeling as you were being punished or taught a lesson, or was it anything like that? And just
no, what it
good.
was a conscious opportunity for me to straighten up and fly right. In other words,
Sure.
whatever is in the Bible that I believed as I read it, even the stories that don't seem like they're true, it was like some type of faith, new faith that was coming over me to change my life and be the person that God said that we should be. Like changing out my evil for good, changing out low self-esteem for believing everything that the Bible says about me as a person, and just doing the things that I thought would be pleasing to him.
And so, how fast did you notice a change for the better?
It was overnight. It was overnight because
from that morning when you woke up to the next day?
I was actually in a relationship with a lady, and she had COVID as well. She was at her mom's house, and I called her and I literally told her, you cannot come back. You can come here to get your stuff, but we can't be in a relationship. And she was like, well, what did I do? What did I do? I said, it's not anything that you did. It has nothing to do with you. It's something that I'm going through that is spiritual, that will not allow me to continue on with our relationship. Actually, I wound up introducing her to the lady that she is with now. Oh. They are my best friends.
Wonderful. So you're still good with her.
Yes. She actually calls me her bestie.
I like that. So it's thing. Yeah, and it's not like you're saying there's a difference between what you experience and saying it's not you, it's me. It's I had some external something happened to me, and obviously you two are still your bestie.
She didn't understand it at first, and she was trying to figure out what it is that she did. And I told her it was nothing that you did. I told her, in fact, I still love you, but we just can't be together. And I just hope and I will pray that you will find it in your heart and just to understand and try to understand that I have to take another route now. And she did. So I thank God for that.
Yeah. And so then now you're past COVID and now that you two are apart, what's the first thing that happens then after that? Where do you go? What's your plan right there hop right in?
So my plan, my actual plan was to get my book written, and I did. And my plan was to go forward and just keeping busy with everything that has to do with me being an author. Actually, my whole life has changed. I don't have a lot of time to spend out in the streets doing things that don't matter. Like to spend 2 hours at a movie, it would irritate me really bad, because I won't say that I'm a perfectionist, but I will say that I have to make sure that every area in my life is the way that it's supposed to be. So I'm always preparing for my podcasts, preparing for a Sunday platform, I'm actually writing the poetry. I'm doing the poetry corner inside a magazine. So I really, really am a busy person. And this busyness that I have, it didn't start until after I wrote the book. So the book has changed my whole life. And I love it, actually.
You love the book?
I love the fact that my life is changing into the way that it is. It's like my destiny and my legacy is actually still being made. So my legacy will not actually be fulfilled until I'm gone, but I'm creating it now. So if somebody asked me what my legacy was,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for them because it's constantly progressing before my eyes.
Right. It's the Lisa Hopkins story in progress.
Yes. Evolving. Yes.
Yeah, it's evolving. And I mean, yeah, you could have gone the route. You wrote one book and that was it. But you didn't.
Actually, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Why is that?
Because I didn't even know. Well, being a podcaster, there's a lot of things, technology. Absolutely, I have absolutely no knowledge, too much about podcasting. In fact, I'm sure you're on your computer. I'm on my phone. I have a computer right here, and I don't even like to pick it up because I'm not tech savvy.
I mean, 90% of the time I'm the same way. I have this set up and I can't move it. And I have it. I don't edit stuff because that's way too much for me. But
yes.
What are you using to record? Are you using Anchor?
No, I just went straight to the Zoom, got in, and I'm on my iPhone.
Oh, no.
For
your
my podcast. I'm using
your podcast on.
It's on StreamYard. StreamYard, and it airs across Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the other platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and those.
And StreamYard has pretty good quality. I've been on a few podcasts that people have, and they've been using it. And even with, 3-4 people, it still looks really, really nice. So, yeah, if you're going to pay for that, I'd go that route. And so then are you, or does it automatically upload to become a video podcast or an audio podcast, or what's it?
Yes, it streams to many platforms by use of Linktree. With Linktree, you connect to all those platforms, and then when you go live, it'll recognize your email address and it'll stream you to all the different platforms.
Okay, so if I have a Linktree here, and I have my website, my Facebook, my Instagram, my my podcast page, it would go right to all those immediately, and I wouldn't have to go.
Yes, you wouldn't have to do anything.
That's a great idea. I've been trying to figure that part out for a while.
It's Linktree.
I have a Linktree, but the StreamYard is the part that because that's a huge part, because once I get it up, out and I record the thing, then it's like, okay, well, now I have to go and
put it everywhere.
Put it in everywhere. And like, I try one place and I'm like, okay, I'm tired of doing this. I don't want to do anymore. And so I usually do like 1 or 2 places when I do it, but if it just do it automatically, that's worth the money right there. All right.
Yes, I could also link you up with the person that has taught me many of the things that I know. His name is Hezekiah Morris. Have you heard from him?
I know Hezekiah.
Okay, so he and Angela.
I know
Thomas
Angela
Smith.
Okay. Yep.
They are my behind the scenes people. So
Okay.
I'm actually a part of their podcast crew.
Oh, okay. All right. Now
Yes.
that's making sense. Now I'm
And
getting
they
it.
are the ones that have taught me everything I know, absolutely everything about podcasting. I had heard the word podcast before I wrote the book, but I had no idea what it was. So,
so what was so the first time you heard a podcast, were you on it, or did or what happened?
No. When I became an author, I went to these various groups. I came to find out that some groups were actually scammers.
Yep. Yeah.
And then I kept on searching. So then I wound up going to Angela's group, and I listened to her close and attentively. She is the person that wants to help everybody. She created the podcast so that others can get their voice heard. To be the voice that somebody else cannot be because of suppressing things and not being able to talk about them. So when I heard her say that, it drew me to her because she sounded very, very positive. She sounded like a very, very smart woman. And then going to her different pages let me know that the woman is about business. So that's the reason why I took the opportunity to go ahead and connect with her to be able to do the podcast. The main thing about it is this. She will work with me for a whole year for $99. And she's still looking for podcasters, people that want to podcast, because we're trying to fill up the whole month with somebody each night. So I believe it's like almost 10 of us.
Cool.
And we each get 2 nights. So we're going to need probably another 10 or another 5 to make sure that there's somebody speaking every night.
And so do you each have your own you do all do it at the same time every night?
Yes, it airs at 8:00 every night.
Pacific
except
time?
for the nights. No, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So
5
for
o'clock
you.
Pacific Standard Time. And we are The Crew. That is DACREW Podcast 2023. That is our name. The Crew Podcast 2023. And it airs at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time and 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
And then it goes right up to everywhere without just right away automatically, right?
Yes, all across the globe. And it's a
Yeah.
wonderful opportunity. And we give the audience a chance to ask questions. We answer their questions. And for the most part, the people that I have on my podcast are people that had something horrific to overcome. Yeah,
And
so I'm really excited about going forward with it.
so what is it about people who have had something horrific to overcome that really attracted you to bring them on to have their story told? From what you go ahead.
The main thing of it is bringing them to tell what happened and how they became an overcomer, or they became successful, or how they are able to persevere through what they're going through. For example, I interviewed a young lady. She had an illness called hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain. She probably will never overcome the actual issue, but she is able to persevere through it to be a voice for those who may not understand about it, or those who have it and are ashamed of it. So she came to encourage people to not give up and to continue to go forward and to believe that they can conquer anything just like anybody else.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. And so yeah, I mean, that's what a great message to give out to the world, and anyone who's tuning in who may you never know who's listening. You never know who.
That's right.
Could one podcast episode could change someone's life. Someone could hear this today, hear you on there, and their life is just automatically great.
And that's the main purpose, just to be able to help somebody as I travel through this world.
Yeah.
Then my living will not be in vain. Just one person. Yeah.
That's all you need is that one person.
Yes.
And that's, if you're, staying true, you get that one person, you're good. And
yes,
so
thank you.
Yeah, Lisa, thank you so much. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you and meet you here today. And everyone, check out her book, and also check out her podcast and the crew. If it's Angela and Hezekiah and
yes,
her, I mean,
it is.
That's a great combination right there. So,
yeah, and they are a great team. Yes.
And so go ahead.
They also have one other person. I won't mention her name, but she is working alongside of them, and they do an excellent job together. Amen.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so how's everyone going to find you and find your book and your podcasts?
Well, the name of my book is Triggered Reactions Conquered. My name is Lisa Hopkins. My book can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's also at Walmart. And I can be found on Facebook via my name, Lisa Hopkins, or my author page, author Lisa Hopkins. On Sundays, I have a platform for 1 hour at 5:00 Pacific Standard Times called Sunday Songs and Shares. You can find me there, as well as the podcast. The podcast is Triggered Reactions Conquered with Lisa Hopkins, and it airs every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And everyone, thank you for listening. Follow Lisa over. It cuts out anyway, so it doesn't matter which way I'm pointing. I'm pointing at Lisa, and like, share, follow.
Thank you.
Say that now. Yeah, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and I thank you so much for having me on your show. I am very grateful for you, and I appreciate you for this endeavor. God bless you.
Likewise, and that is the show, man.